अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवानहमव्ययं विवस्वान्मनवे प्राह मनुरिक्ष्वाकवे ब्रवीत्. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ishvaku. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasya yo viduh sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasam hetaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha khatameta dvijjaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vetitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetta parantapa. Lord Krishna said, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of enemy. Ajopi sanvayayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakurtim swamadhishtaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuttama dharmasya tada manam srujamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a prominent rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. वीतरागभयक्रोधा मन्मया मामुपाश्रिता बहवो ज्ञानतपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Partha. काङ्क्षन्त कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. चातुर्वर्णयं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्मविभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्य कर्तारमव्ययम्. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of a human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet non-doer, being unchangeable. न मां कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्मफले स्पृहा इति मां योऽभिजानाति कर्मभिर्न स बध्यते. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतम्. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. किं कर्म किमकर्मेति कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you should be liberated from all misfortunes. कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. कर्मण्य कर्मया पश्येद् अकर्मणि च कर्मया स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्त कृष्ण कर्मकृत्. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kamasankalpavarjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatrupto nirashayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Nirashiryata chittama tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti klibhisham. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Yadrucha labha santrushto dvandvatito vimatsvaraha samasiddhava siddhau cha krutvapi na nibhadyate. He who is satisfied with the gain which comes from its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajñāyācarata karma samagram praviliyate. The work of a man who is unattached to the moods of material nature, who is fully situated in the transcendental knowledge, merges entirely unto transcendence. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Daivameva pare yagnam yogina pariyupasate brahmagnava pare yagnam igne naivopajuhati. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Shotradin indriyanyanye samyamagnishu juhati shabdadin vishayananye indriyagnishu juhati. Some sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. Sarvan indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma samyaya yogagno jukvati jnana deepite. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all senses and of the life breath, as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Dravya yajnastapo yajna yogo yajnastata pare swadhya yajnana yajnascha yataya samshitavrataha. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Apane jhukvati pranam prane panam tata pare pranapanagati rudhva pranayama parayanaha apare niyataharaha pranan praneshu jhukvati. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to maintain the trance practice by offering the moment of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Sarve pite yajnavido yajnakshapita kalmashaha yajnashistamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. All these performers who know the meaning of a sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Layam lokastya yajnasya kutonya kuru sattama. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? Evam bhavuvidha yajna vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam gnatva vimukshase. All these different types of sacrifices are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Shreyan dravyamayad yajnaj jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyate. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Partha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninastattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge onto you because they have seen the truth. Yajñātvāna punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshena drakshasyatmanyato mayi. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but a part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
अपि चेदसि पापेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पापकृत्तमः सर्वं ज्ञानप्लवेनैव वृजिनं सन्तरिष्यसि.
Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross the ocean of miseries.
एतैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निर्भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा.
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, so does the fire of knowledge, which burns to ashes all the reactions to material activities.
न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते तत्स्वयं योगसंसिद्धः कालेनात्मनि विन्दति.
In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time.
श्रद्धावाल्लभते ज्ञानं तत्परसंयतेन्द्रियः ज्ञानं लब्ध्वा परां शान्तिम् अचिरेणाधिगच्छति.
A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace.
अज्ञाश्च शश्रधाधानश्च संशयात्मा विनाश्यति नायं लोकस्ति न परो न सुखं संशयात्मनः.
But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
योगसन्न्यस्तकर्माणं ज्ञानसञ्छिन्नसंशयम् आत्मवन्तं न कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of righteous.
तस्माद् अज्ञानसम्भूतं हृत्सं ज्ञानासिनात्मनः चित्वैनं संशयं योगम् आतिष्ठोत्तिष्ठ भारत.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्याया योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानकर्मसन्न्यासयोगो नाम चतुर्थोऽध्यायः.